and welcome to another Mac Trains. This is mostly just a running video showing off of some of the new 3D printed vehicles, the various ranges, generic 80s and 90s vehicles sitting there. You may think you recognise some, but hopefully they prove to be useful. A few sales have already gone out the door, and hopefully folk have enjoyed getting them. Calendars also are done very well. In fact, the calendars are virtually sold out. I'm looking for a second batch. If I get enough orders, please let me know if you want some more. Started also 3D printed fencing. That can shape round your scenery. Look at that. That's going to be useful. Just bend it to shape. That's available also on eBay. And then just a bit of running session. So trying to show what's happened on the layout, what's been done, excuse me, around Tanfield Terrace in the last while. This side probably hasn't changed hardly at all since you last saw it. Maybe an addition of a little bit more foliage. And of course the addition of a wonderful 08. So this is the original 08 I had, which is running with a 8-pin HM7000 chip and Stay Alive. And trundling along quite happily. Reasonable freight load. Yep, just a bit of running, a bit of genteel running. I was so glad to finally get my track clean enough to run in most places. Some of the hidden places needs a good clean, so that hasn't happened yet. Overhead shot. Let's just see what we have coming on here. I think the 08 again. Yes, there she is. Just wending its way gently across. That's what you like to see. And it does run beautifully with the Stay Alive, I have to say, even on my track. That's always good to know. Fencing there has to get spray painted and fitted in place. That's actually slightly oversized. I've scaled it down better now to be closer to true TT. That's almost, I wouldn't say it's 00, but it's certainly maybe nearer HO. And, yep, you guessed it. There's the 08, and if you look very carefully on the left-hand side, see a couple of track rubbers as well, sitting where they shouldn't be in shot, but there you go. It's what you see with your eye after you've done the filming, and never at the time. It just seemed not to be there. I got a bit of a shock when I noticed it in the edit, but anyway, there she goes. Yeah, that's great. The 08 is just a very satisfying thing to run. And I think although it's an early one, although it's maybe been taught by the Terrier, I still think it's a tremendous. Oh look, a 50 swizzing by. There you go. Just to keep us on our toes. A lot of work to be done by the stations, you can tell, but some has progressed even since this video was taken, so you might see that a little bit later on in the edit. There's a 50 beaming away nicely. And a couple of Dave Burns inspired Hollybush style shots of just letting the train go by the scenery. There you are. So yeah, it's definitely starting to look more like an actual layout. And I feel this last week or two, it has pulled together. It's got a lot to be done still. There's a lot that isn't finished, as you can tell. But there's things that are starting to get there. Quite pleased with some of this looks. I feel like there's merit in some of the authenticity of what's there. There's the 08 as well. You knew he'd be coming back in shot sometime soon. You can't go wrong without him. You can't go long without him either. That would have been better to say first time, wouldn't it? Anyway, you can tell I'm just filling in. I'm just watching the trains and enjoying watching the edit, even, to be quite honest. So there you have a bit more of the scenic. That side is much closer to finished. There's work to be done down the lower levels, but this side, the front top basically is close to being done. A bit of fencing to finish off, and probably tinkering to be done thereafter, but nothing substantial. I've even done a bit of work tidying out the lower levels. We'll get to the lower levels a little bit later on. And there's a chap on the brake van making sure all is in order. There we are. You wonder where it's going. Tanfield to where? Where's the next stop? And a bit of higher speed there, just to pick up the pace. Little shot of the station with its Ford Capri sign advertising. We'll get another shot of that later on, I think I remember right. I've moved around actually some of these buildings more recently, so they don't actually quite look exactly as they look in this edit. But anyway, there's the 08 coming in on the lower levels. Did see those lower level stuff coming up at some point. Just so gentle. I do love being able to run reliably at that kind of speed. And that, well, on my layouts, that's only possible with DCC and a Stay Alive. Other folk manage it on DC, and hats off to you, gentlemen. But I do quite I like a bit of fast, and I like slow. I like slow where it's meant to be slow. Bringing in Blink Bonnie, and there we go. The Pullmans, first run of the Pullmans on the layout. They're probably not staying around, to be quite honest, but I just couldn't quite resist the Scotsman set. So I gave the Pullmans a wee outing. There is significantly more drag, obviously, on them because they have the pickups, but not such that not Blink Bonnie, but Nighthawk there is having any difficulty. And there you see glue in the layout as well. You see just things you don't notice when you're excitedly running trains around. I'm trying to figure out how to work out how to finish off around the town side of the back end of the platform there. That's not quite how it's finally been done. You might see that later on. There's a Pullman skipping by again. And again. Should have had realistic chuffing noises added here, shouldn't they? Anyway, you get the idea. Give some of the sweep of the layout as well. And now there's a few extra things I've been playing around with, not quite ready to announce yet. But maybe if you're eagle-eyed, you'll spot stuff, I don't know. But I've been playing around with a little bit of advances. The other side, don't get to see this side much of the station. And I say there'll be a shot of the station again near the time. And there's a chap just having a wee rest. The stairs are a bit much for him. Don't know which way he's coming or going, but anyway, they obviously beat him. A few stills. And that shows a bit of an overview of the layout coming together. And the side there. Right, what about a few more vehicles? There's the 66 and a Hillman Imp. You've got to have a Hillman Imp. Come on, it's set at the right time. Even without 66 in place. And a Rover P6 and a Citroen Xantia. Anyway, I like my cars as well. I thought that's an angle I don't take enough shots of, kind of down the main road, down the main street in Tanfield. That would be the Terrace of Tanfield Terrace. There's a 66, small load for a 66 definitely, but obviously it copes with it beautifully. And I think you should hear the sound of these ones now. Even the 08, I've got the 08 sound turned down quite low, and the 66 relatively speaking, but you should be able to hear the I keep quiet for a minute while it trundles by. Note the Ford Transit on the low loader. There we go. Let the trains take the strain. That's the other side of the street, the other angle of the street, rather looking back down. So I'm changing things around a bit there, but I haven't quite determined the final location of stuff yet. So I have done some more work on the back end of the platform there. I'm playing around with different finishes, a high wall, a low wall, fencing, just trying to get that right. There's no grand plan. This is just figure it out as you go along. Nice weathered hopper there, by the way. That came via TMC. That was what I purchased. Well, actually, I bought it off Peachy. But it is... I got it to kind of give me an example of what they should look like. How do you weather these things? I've never done much weathering, so that's intended to be my muse in which I learn all sorts of things. A little bit of shunting, just checking things rappel over the point work without any difficulty, no derailments. Notice a wee four-wheeler sitting in the mouth of the tunnel there. Another shot of the town. And this is something new. I've got to try to get a sort of small action camera that can fit. So it's tacked onto the conflat. And it's not the best quality. Notionally, this is meant to be 2K recording. No, this is meant to be HD recording, possibly. Which it probably is, but the sensor is clearly not up to modern standards of what you'd expect on a smartphone, but you can't get the smartphone in at this kind of level. So there you go, that just gives you a view as to running alongside up the station. You need to straighten out some of these pillars for the station canopy. Bit of work be done on the baseboard on the right hand side there. You can see a kind of gash all the way along. That's going to have to get covered one way or t'other. Get rid of the plastic bag, Greg. Didn't think this through clearly. Yeah, you can see it's picking up on the fluorescent tube lighting. You've got that slightly shaky effect. So apologies for anyone who is struggling with that. Maybe it won't come across in your camera too much, but it is there definitely. Coming under the road bridge at the far end of the layout. Camera won't fit, so I have to cut there and from one to the next and try to make it do its thing. So you see just how uneven a lot of the ballasting is. Really felt I got overscale ballast to begin with. It was meant to be right scale, but it just wasn't. And I got finer stuff later, and that was much more successful. But anyway, it's down, and it'll serve the purpose, and you learn. Let's take it over the girder bridge. That track there, as you can see, is not happy. So I have actually changed that since the recording. Didn't realise quite what a bad kink there, wasn't it? You can even see it on the... Oh, there's the LED checking the track work there on the left. Bit more wonky and oversized fencing. Proof of concept really at that point. Is now available in proper size and scale for TT120. Do check out Mac Trains or gmacdness, I think it is actually, on eBay. There we go, all the way back round and under the road bridge at the other side. Now a couple of split screens just to really mess with your heads coming up. And then we're nearly done. In fact, we will be done after this. Split screen. 3, 2, 1, go. There we go. So coming out from underneath the shunting yard first of all, and on the left hand side just going past the station. And the left hand one shifts. Right hand one stays the same. Any second now. There we go. So one is going into the shunting yard and one is coming out. Or will be going in a minute once it starts moving, I hope. There we go. Underway. So yeah, that gives you some idea of what's been happening. Also I'm in the middle of constructing one of the Modelux buildings, which I hope will go in the main town. I think it fits in with the character of the Tanfield Terrace quite nicely. Quite nice kits, dreadful instructions. Shambolic instructions, to be quite honest. There's a lot of figuring out to do. There's one tiny piece missing, but nothing significant. So yeah, you'll see that at some point appearing on the layout. Right, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again soon on another tour of Tanfield.